Hello, my friends. It is July 20th, 2018, 5:46 p.m. Most importantly, before we even get started here, it is my mother's birthday today, so I want to wish her a happy birthday. She watches every one of my videos. I know, it may sound corny to some people, but it's my mom. Happy birthday, Mom. I wish you the best. Can't wait to see you. She actually lives up in northeastern PA. Me and my girlfriend are in southeast PA. We will be seeing them soon. So shout out to the mom today. Anyway, guys, look at this. We are going to be dealing with some serious heat. It's going to be followed by a front, but you can see this entire area covering Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Oklahoma. We got Mississippi in there, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and this is all going to be moving right up to the northeast. But before that happens, we are going to have some pretty significant weather that moves in the northeast that we will get into in a minute. Take a look at some of these temperatures. Texas, there's not one spot in Texas, except for maybe right there along the coast, probably because of the coast, the water, the air coming off the coast. We have temperatures 100 plus all over Texas, all over Oklahoma, Arkansas, just brutally hot temperatures. I saw some pictures before of tires actually melting on cars that have been on highways for a decent period of time. 106 in some areas of New Mexico. That carries over, or that's Arizona rather, Mexico as well. And then Southern California, hot. And then we drop off a little bit as we get to that Baja region of Mexico. But bottom line, the United States is very hot right now. Of course, a little cooler up in Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, as we move north towards Canada. So, topic of today is definitely the heat. We are going to talk about the Atlantic Ocean and the possibility of another tropical wave. As of right now, these are the areas to watch. Now, we are looking at basically Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio. Now, what this is a storm situation. So when you see the reds here, that means severe storms, outside rings, semi-severe, so on and so forth. You get the idea. Tornado watches. Now, that's interesting. This is actually right now current time. So you could see here Tennessee going into Kentucky, and then a little bit of Indiana and Ohio. Like I said, this is going to move up, so we may be dealing with a tornado situation. Not a high percentage, but it is still there, so it is worth talking about. We got West Virginia in the mix there, and then if you guys remember about a week or two ago, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania had tornadoes, and we had a tornado literally about 4 miles away from where we live down here in southeast Pennsylvania. So very possible. Tornado Alley, Tornado Valley. We still are technically in that season, even though we are in the Atlantic hurricane season. We're still in the Pacific hurricane season. Clearly typhoon season, because we've been talking about typhoons here and there. Just to match up some of what we're dealing with these storms here, live lightning chart, we like to use this because it shows where those serious storms are currently at, and you can see these green lines just going crazy. These are live lightning strikes. I know I say this all the time, but for the new listeners and people that don't know this chart, this is a very serious storm area right now, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, and like I said, this is going to swirl up into the northeast. But the interesting part is there's another system down by Florida now that is rolling its way up the East Coast. Now, what may happen is these two may meet, and we're going to have a low-pressure system. Wow, look at that. That was pretty wild. We're going to have a low-pressure system that's going to circulate over the northeast over the weekend, and this is going to start tomorrow. We're talking wind, heavy rain, possibly even some hail in some areas, even though we have these hot temperatures. So we're going to be dealing with a muggy storm situation pretty much all through the weekend, unfortunately. The reason I have not been on in the last couple days is because my work hours have been absolutely crazy trying to get stuff done before this rain. We usually work through the weekends, but this weekend we will not be working because of the weather. So I apologize for not being around. Usually I'll throw in a sub comment just to keep you guys updated. I didn't do that either Really apologize. I don't like to leave you guys hanging. I love doing videos every day. Sometimes I just can't get here to do it. So, but we're moving on anyway. So here we can get a better look at these two systems I'm talking about. We got the one down here that's saturating Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Rain, 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 rain. And then we have this one up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back, and we're going to kind of get an idea of where these originated from and where they're going. So you can kind of see we get a counterclockwise rotation with this down here coming from the Gulf over Florida, just over top of Lake Okeechobee. This was hours ago. I'm just showing you where it started and now where it's going to go. So as we move forward, we can see system right here flowing over Missouri and Arkansas, and then we have this low pressure that's spinning up by Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Now watch what happens here. As we move forward, this one breaks off down into the Gulf, and then the one over Florida that bordered Lake Okeechobee begins to counterclockwise spin up the coast, and that is why the Carolinas have been getting the rain. And then as we move forward again, we can see two separate systems. We got one here and one here, and this is what's causing the tornado situation on that chart I just showed you here. So you can see a mix between these two systems, one moving up here, one coming down here. You get different cross airflows plus a shear wind moving west to east constantly. You get spin going on, and that's what causes the tornadoes. As far as hail goes, look at that area of hail that we could be dealing with. 45% chance of hail falling if it's not falling already. Anybody in these areas, if you have hail, if you have the time, if you feel the need, go out, take pictures, take some video, send it on over to me, and I will gladly show it to the subs and give you guys shout-outs. I love doing that. I love doing submission pictures and videos and stuff like that. So anyone that gets some crazy weather they want to show and share, please, by all means, contact me in the comments or through the email address provided at the About Me section of the Into Thin Air page. So with that said, like I said, last frame is right here, so this is current time. These two systems will meet in the Northeast, so be prepared, guys. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Long Island, Massachusetts, all the Northeast states will be getting rain this weekend, unfortunately. My job today actually required me to set up some party tents in some of these areas, and all the conversations I was having with people is about how whether or not the weather's gonna allow them to have their parties. And you know what, it's hard to say. I mean, I think some of these storms are going to start midday tomorrow, and we're not going to see a break until possibly even Monday. So I will be on top of this weather making videos because I do have the next 2 days off, so I will be making up for the lost time that I owe you guys. With that said, let's talk a little bit about the Atlantic Ocean and these tropical waves. Now, there is a battle going on, if you want to call it that, between the sand from the Sahara Desert. Let's go to this page here, and I will show you what I mean by that. Here we go. Now, this is sand. This is sand that comes off the Sahara Desert. It kind of follows the same path that our hurricanes will follow. You get a flow of air that comes this way, and then we have this big section of sand here. Now, there's good and bad parts about this. The sand, depending on the size of it, can actually demolish storms. It stops tropical waves, which is a good thing. But these in-between gaps is what we want to look out for, because there's no sand there. A tropical wave could ride right between these two sand spots and then make it to our, Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Bahamas, so on and so forth, and then the Gulf too. So we see sand still from that previous sandstorm we had that is still in areas of the Gulf, down in near Cancun in Mexico. If you guys remember, there were sandstorms in Texas because of this. So imagine being a piece of sand and traveling thousands of miles over the Atlantic Ocean and then ending up in the United States. It's just amazing what weather can do sometimes. Not sure why this page isn't opening. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Now, if you can look right here on the west coast of Africa, there is a cluster of storms there. Now, I'm keeping an eye on this because this is actually behind one of those sandstorms. So this could potentially be one of those waves that makes it across. And now that we're getting towards the end of July and into August, we're going to start reaching our peak season of hurricane season, August and September. And that is pretty much the time. Harvey was in August, if you guys remember. Hurricane Harvey, and then we had Irma, Maria, so on and so forth. 10 straight named storms, broken record from 2005, all beginning in August. So a lot of people have been asking me, what's going on? There's no hurricanes, this, that. It's because it's just not quite, even though the season starts June 1st, that doesn't mean it's just going to be hurricane after hurricane after hurricane. I mean, August is that peak time, August into September. So once you start watching these charts and seeing these storms cluster even before they get into the ocean, that is a cause for concern, because usually the storms will get off into the water and then they start to connect to each other, and we start seeing that barrel roll shape when we look at this chart, the mimic chart. Here's a shark fin wave. This one will not, I don't think, be an issue because of the sand. You can see the sand is right here, and it's almost like it's pushing that wave up. And this is going to also become part of that rain that comes up into Florida. Basically, it's not a tropical wave, but it is moisture. So this moisture will make it to the U.S. You could see how dense the moisture is right here around Florida, and how it's rolling up the East Coast, like we just previously talked about, with the Northeast getting those storms that will be coming very shortly. Basically, over the weekend. There's not much we can do about that, guys. It's just the way it is sometimes with the weather. Now, I want to get back to this page here where I was showing you the tropical intensity chart, which is right here. Okay, so, alright, that's not the one. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure why I didn't click the right one. Alright, we'll skip over that for now. So anyway, as far as these storms go, we want to keep an eye on the dark purples, we want to keep an eye on the reds, and as long as they stay together, if they make it out into the ocean, that is when you want to start watching them and warning people, not warning them as if there's a hurricane on their way, because we don't want to scare anybody, we don't want to over-exaggerate, we want to read the data correctly, and we want to watch it on a daily basis to see how it forms. That's the whole point here. We don't want to be caught off guard and you turn on the TV one day and they're like, oh, tropical system making its way towards the U.S., and people start freaking out, buying food and this and that. This is why I have this channel, is so I can keep you guys posted on a daily basis. Sometimes we skip days like we just talked about. Things happen. We all have lives outside of YouTube, I'm sure. Anyway, as far as tropical tidbits goes, I'm going to show you a forecast model of the U.S. itself, and you can see here that this matches up perfectly with this. So this is the area to watch for our severe weather, and when we get to tropical tidbits, you can see the low pressure system here and the low pressure system here, and now this is what they are predicting to happen. As we move forward, you could see that low pressure starts moving just under the Great Lakes, and then we start getting some severe weather by the Carolinas and Virginia. This may be some pretty significant weather. So those of you in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, and then it will be Chesapeake Bay, New Jersey, and PA that are going to get this. So Pennsylvania is going to get some serious weather. So will the Carolinas. The Carolinas are getting rain right now in some areas, but you can see these two lows mix and they wrap around each other. It's almost like that term we call Fujiwara. That's when two hurricanes get within about 800 miles of each other. They begin to interact and spin around each other. Usually the stronger of the two survives. But when we're dealing with low pressure systems over land, a lot of times they will connect. It doesn't really make them stronger. It kind of just warps into one big low pressure system. But we do have counterclockwise motion, and what that brings is the wind. And now you can see here, I wish I could zoom in here and show you guys, but the low pressure system is surrounded by a lot of little rings. And when you see those rings really tight together, that means there's a lot of wind involved. So these could be some very serious storms going on. And look at this. This is right over where I live, and this is the 22nd. 2 days from now, that would be Sunday. So basically tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday, all of east coast of Pennsylvania, and then moving up into South New York. We could see a strip here that wants to pull itself into Long Island, and this is after the Carolinas already deal with their mess. And then you can also see, even though the L is not there for a low pressure system, we see a set of rings. That is also a low pressure system, whether the L is there or not. So as we move forward, we can see the movement. This one comes down underneath. This one that starts in Florida, again, I'll bring it back just to remind you guys, this is what Florida's been dealing with their severe weather. This thing wants to roll up the coast, and then this one's going to dip underneath it, and then we'll see what happens here. So we'll move forward again. There's that low pressure on Sunday right over PA. This pressure is going to come underneath it. And there we have it. So this pressure may actually stay over land for a little bit. Probably nothing serious as far as rain with this low pressure system. Those light greens is basically show you rain. Once you get into the yellows and the reds, you can match it up here. This goes by inches of rain that fall, and then we have the sleet colors and snow, which we don't obviously have to worry about now. But as we move forward into Monday, here is Tuesday and Wednesday. So basically the northeast and the southeast for the next 5 or 6 days is going to be pretty much overcast and rain, some flooding. They are calling for flash flooding in areas of Chesapeake Bay, Delaware, southeast Pennsylvania, stuff like that. So that is basically the topic of this video, guys. I'm really sorry about not getting on here sooner. I'm going to try to keep those gaps far and few between. Let me try to click on this one more time to see if this will work. The hurricane index, it's just not showing up for some reason, but we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. Again, you can see here, this is the current weather right over Florida, just north of Lake Okeechobee. So those of you in Florida, hang tight. It's going to end soon, but then the East Coast and moving up, we are next. So that is the update for now, guys. I hope everyone had a great week. The weekend is almost here, but for the Northeast, it's not going to be that great. Hot weather in Texas. Those of you there, please stay cool, and we'll continue from there. I may have a video out this afternoon, or this evening rather, about some of the action going on in Hawaii. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's been at least 1 or 2 5.0 registered earthquakes or eruptions a day still going on in Hawaii. Hundreds of earthquakes a day. There's no signs of that volcano stopping, and there's actually been some movement around the volcano to the west of that one. The name is slipping me at the moment. I apologize for that, but today I wanted to focus on the U.S. and just to give you a little bit of an update on the Atlantic Ocean and our hurricane season. With that said, guys, thank you for your patience. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up. Questions, comments below, please feel free to voice your opinion, and if you don't mind, it would mean a lot to me if you guys could say happy birthday to my mom. I'm not going to say her age. She will kill me if I say her age, but let's just say she's counting backwards now. That's what they do. At least that's what my aunt used to say. Once you get to a certain age, for the women, you start counting backwards. So, alright guys, I hope you have a great evening. If you don't hear from me this evening, you will hear from me first thing tomorrow morning. Alright guys, take care. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.